What's up everyone, my name's Zane and welcome to my results from 10 hours of Kurasks. So the few things you need to know for this one is that I started off with 85 attack and 94 strength, and I did all of this off task. And with that covered, let's get into the loot. So the loot from this one came out to 7.4 mil in total, and this was split into seeds and herbs, a decent stack of nature runes, and a pretty hefty cash stack as well, from a lot of the alcohols they drop. There's nothing that especially stands out here, it's just some decent Slayer based loot really, but with all of that shown, let's get into the stats. So as we turn to experience, there is something you need to know about Kurasks that's unique to them, which is that you need specific weapons in order to kill them. And in this case I used a leaf-bladed battle axe. And mainly because of that, the experience here is quite mediocre overall. They're perfectly decent for a Slayer monster, but off task you don't really want to be killing them because you're better off killing things like gargoyles where you can use your better weapons instead. With regards to the loot, it is actually decently profitable. You make on average 730k an hour here, which is very decent, especially for a normal Slayer monster that you unlock fairly early in your Slayer grind. Obviously you get even more than me on task, assuming you have similar stats to me, and for mid-levels it's actually a fairly decent moneymaker even off task. With that said, the recurring theme here though is that it's decent and fairly mediocre. It's nothing special, it's just pretty good. And finally, in terms of additional stats, we basically managed to kill around 160 per hour. Obviously on task again, this would be slightly quicker, and what this stat basically tells you is that if you are doing a Slayer task here, you need to prepare to camp for around an hour here, which really isn't too hard to do, especially if you have a Saradomin Godsword. And one thing to specially note about these is that while the Saradomin Godsword cannot harm a Kurask, it can actually still heal you for the damage that you theoretically would have dealt. So it is well worth bringing it if you could afford it here. The other thing to mention here is that the profit per kill is fairly decent, and because of their drop table there's a very low variance, which means that this is a pretty solid average of how much you'll be making per kill here. Finally, the method itself is incredibly easy to do and very AFK as well, so it's actually quite enjoyable. The only thing is that Kurasks are a bit out of the way. They do take a while to get to, especially if you don't have the agility level for the agility shortcuts, so keep in mind that if you are going to go and kill them, you do want to make sure that you can last for however long you want your trip to be. So again, that means bringing a Saradomin Godsword, and or bringing perhaps bones to peaches in order to extend your trips, because you can't use guffins here. While Kurasks aren't a particularly dangerous monster, they do fairly accurate and consistent damage which will add up over time, which is why you're going to need to bring some food with you. But they're really not that different from any other Slayer monster in that regard, to be honest. So to summarise it all, overall they have mediocre experience rates, it's nothing great but it's nothing bad either. They are a decent profitable Slayer monster, quite similar to gargoyles. They're fairly easy to camp long term as long as you have either bones to peaches, Saradomin Godsword, or both. They're pretty AFK and low effort compared to the reward you're getting from them. And overall, while it is better to camp gargoyles than Kurasks, Kurasks are very decent as a Slayer monster that's going to pull in a nice profit for you as you train. But with all of that said, that's it for this video, so I do hope you enjoyed and found it helpful. And as always, if there's anything you'd like to see me cover, feel free to drop me a line down below and I'll do my best to make it happen. And on that note, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Reddit user Surprise Drop Bears again. Thank you very much for the suggestion and I do hope you enjoyed this video. Anyway, that's it from me, so I hope you're all having a lovely day and I will see you all next time. Bye guys!